It's time for Supply Chain Now Radio, broadcasting live from the supply chain capital of the country, Atlanta, Georgia. Supply Chain Now Radio spotlights the best in all things supply chain. The people, the technologies, the best practices, and the critical issues of the day. And now, here are your hosts.
Hey, good afternoon. Scott Luton with Supply Chain Now. Welcome back to the show. We are broadcasting here today not from Atlanta, Georgia, where we typically are, but we're in Las Vegas, Nevada, home of the Reverse Logistics Association Conference and Expo, a chilly Las Vegas, Nevada, with temperatures in the 40 degrees with 80-mile-per-hour gales.
That's only a mild exaggeration.
So, for the next couple of days, this conference here in this city is the center of the universe for all things returns and reverse logistics. Yep. A ton of supply chain thought leaders offering best practices and insights and know-how on how to tackle what's really becoming one of the most important components of the end-to-end supply chain and the circular economy. Today's episode is brought to you by Capgemini, global leader in consulting, technology services, and digital transformation. You can learn more at capgemini.com. Quick programming note, you can check out our podcast wherever you get your podcasts from, Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
YouTube.
But be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You may have already heard him chime in 17 times as I just get through the pre-roll, but I'm joined here once again by Mr. Greg White, a serial supply chain technology entrepreneur, trusted advisor, supply chain adjutant. Is that one of the
That's a good one. I like that, yeah.
Well, Greg,
troublemaker is basically what you're saying.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
We're off to a fast start. You know, we've got, I think, 15 or 16 interviews over the next 2.5 days as our team here. That's a ton of work, but we love it because we get to sit beside people like our guest on this episode and hear from folks in the trenches making it happen in the reverse logistics and return space, right?
Anyone who's ever listened to us knows I'm a fan of two things, Las Vegas and Tony Sciarrotta. No, seriously. Yeah.
I was really curious what number two was going to be.
No, I think, I'm a particular fan of the way Tony approaches reverse logistics in trying to prevent returns instead of just trying to figure out what to do with returns. And he's got a long history of that. So, by the way, we've done some interviews with Tony. If you want some foundation of what RLA and Tony is all about, there's some episodes out there. But that's not what we're here to talk about today.
Right.
Right?
Today, we are chatting with our featured guest, Eric Moriarty, with B-Stock. Eric, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great to have you.
Yeah, good to be here.
Have you felt like you've been stalked a bit?
No, not at all.
Because we've been tracking B-Stock a little bit in the last couple of months, especially as we made the connection between your company and their support and sponsorship of the conference. So,
ask your social marketing people if they feel stalked.
Yeah, right.
So how long have you been plugged? How long have you been here, and how long have you been plugged in the RLA?
So, I've known Tony Sciarrotta for a while now, and I've kind of heard he was kind of getting involved with getting the show going again.
Yes.
And so as soon as I heard that, we immediately
all in.
Offered us support because he's one of the titans of the reverse logistics industry.
We agree with you.
Yeah.
We've been running with a reverse logistics series on Supply Chain Now, probably going back 4 or 5 months. And the feedback we've gotten, even with the content and thought leadership that groups like RLA are putting out, companies and supply chain leaders just can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears for a minute. We're all members of the Tony Sciarrotta fan club. His ears are probably burning right slap off. Let's talk about where Eric, before we talk shop and before we talk about what B-Stock is doing in industry, let's talk about where you're from. And you got to give us the goods on your upbringing.
Okay. So my whole career, actually, I've been involved in a marketplace business model. I actually grew up in a family business where my family runs an outdoor antiques and collectibles show.
What part of the country?
In a small town called Brimfield, Massachusetts.
Okay.
It's about 3,000 people.
And that's where you were born and raised?
Yeah, that's where I was raised. Yep.
Brimfield, Massachusetts.
So the use of the Oxford comma is important there. Is it an outdoor show or is it outdoor antiques?
Yes, it's an outdoor show. And the buyers and sellers are buying and selling antiques and collectibles.
So lots of vendors come in to sell their wares.
Thousands.
Wow.
Yep. And there's different. The town is. It's this one stretch of road where there's different show promoters on all along the strip, and my family's one of them, and we run one of the shows.
Wow.
So it's about 20 different shows, and all together it's one big show.
You were literally brought up in the circular economy.
Yeah, that's
if you think about it.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
So growing up in Brimfield, Massachusetts,
yep.
What's one memory that when you think about your childhood immediately comes to mind?
So, as it pertains to my career, or just in
personal,
general,
family business, food.
And don't make him relive his radio flyer breaking or something like that.
That's a
That'd be a great
curveball
story.
question.
Yeah.
Well, related to your career then.
Yeah, no, I mean, kind of growing up in the family business, it was really interesting and a great foundation for what I did later in life. So. I've been involved in many online marketplaces in my career. And what I've found to be really interesting is that the underlying fundamentals, whether it's an offline marketplace of antiques and collectibles or an online marketplace like eBay or Bstock, they're the same. It's the same. It's math, economics, and actually a lot of psychology.
It's like you're building and growing the digital twin of your family business.
That's right.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so before we dive into Bstock, and Greg has some questions for you there, let's talk about your professional journey. Kind of give us a Reader's Digest version of that first role in the industry and kind of into your current role.
Yeah, so, interestingly enough, growing up in my parents' business, I'm just lucky enough to happen to know Meg Whitman personally.
Okay.
And she joined eBay in February 1998. And at the time, they were struggling to get into the antiques business. And I was graduating business school in 1998. And so
real quick, Meg Whitman, for some of our listeners that may not make the connection, is
the ex-CEO of eBay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So she took them through their big growth phase.
That's right.
That's correct.
That's right.
And so she called me up. She knew I was graduating, and my parents' background.
That must be kind of cool to get a call from Meg Whitman.
Yeah. So, and asked me to join the company, and so that's what I did for 4 years at eBay. Was we called it the category manager position, and I focused on antiques category, sports, pottery, glass, a wide variety of categories. And then I've been involved in several other marketplaces since eBay, and then fast forward to Bstock in 2010. I joined Bstock and doing a lot of the same things that I've been doing my whole life, which is really kind of bringing together buyers and sellers to transact with one another.
Love it. That is very cool. Yeah. I mean that history is amazing. I can't imagine. Well, it's probably nothing for you, family, friend, or whatever, but
it's not like I call her up, right? You know what I mean?
But I mean, imagine getting the call.
Yeah.
Hey, we could really use you here. That's an impressive story. I love stories like that. Okay, so you get into the industry, you land at Bstock. So tell us a little bit about Bstock. So a little bit about what they do, okay? And I think as important is if I'm stumbling down the hall at my business, what are the words other than profanity coming out of my mouth that indicate that Bstock is the solution to the problem that I have or the pain that I feel, right?
So what we do is we help companies make more money or get higher prices for their excess inventory.
Okay.
So things like customer returns, overstock, damaged goods.
Okay.
This is inventory that our clients used to put on a pallet or a truckload and sell off to a large liquidator or a jobber or a broker, maybe a discounter. And when they did it that way, they were getting very low prices, pennies on the dollar. And so it actually made companies not want to liquidate because
Yeah.
it's such a bad experience.
Right.
So what we do is we provide a solution. We build an online auction marketplace. It's B2B where the buyers are businesses.
Yeah.
And we drive tons of business buyers to our clients' marketplaces, and ultimately those buyers compete, and it makes prices go higher, and our clients make more money over how they used to do it.
So Tony told us about this whole group of people on YouTube. Tony Sciarrotta told us about this.
Okay.
Where they are receiving pallets on their YouTube channel, and they are displaying, they're doing an unboxing of whatever they got on their pallet. Are some of those people, could they be using your platform to acquire those goods?
Yeah, sure. They would be the buyers.
Right.
And so these are, small to medium-sized businesses, but there are very actually large companies that are buyers as well.
Right.
And, that's the other side of the coin. So on the seller side, it's helping them make more money. On the buyer side, it's actually giving a lot of small to medium-sized businesses access to inventory directly from the source that they previously did not have access to.
Yeah.
And so it's really kind of enabling entrepreneurship.
That's awesome.
Out there. There are lots of buyers that tell us that they started their business because of the solution that we've provided to.
Do the goods tend to stay where they were originally? Do they get transported long distance? I mean, could it get sold from a company in the States and wind up in Africa or South America or Europe or Asia?
Yeah, and that's another aspect of the way our solution works is when we build these marketplaces, we're not asking a company to sell in our marketplace. We're actually building them their marketplace. So they all do business differently from one another. And so each marketplace that we operate for the client, they're setting the terms and conditions that govern the transaction. So as an example, some clients require all inventory to be exported.
Okay.
That's because that's how that particular
Otherwise,
company
it's
chooses
competitive
do
to
business.
them, maybe,
Yeah,
or whatever.
Others don't. Some companies require it only to be sold in the United States. So it's really customized to the specific company of how they do business.
Is it a single marketplace for the buyers? I mean, am I going to whatever Marshalls and getting their overstocks, and then going to a separate marketplace to get TJ Maxx or whatever, or is it sort of an all-in-one view for me if I'm a buyer? Or
the answer is it's both.
Okay.
Right? So there, within each marketplace is all the inventory of that particular client. And when you think about what a marketplace is, it's a website, right?
Yeah.
Well, we also promote that inventory in other locations, right? Where
Smart.
we're kind of aggregating them all and really leveraging the power of the network effect. Yeah.
Love it.
So we just interviewed, I'm just thinking about Sean. We just interviewed Sean McCann from Sims Recycling Solutions.
Okay.
So you are creating yet another opportunity for these goods to go forward through commerce before they go back. I mean, before they're obsolete or destroyed or done away with in some other fashion.
Yeah, there's
really.
That's something that we're opening our eyes up to more and more, which is there's a whole sustainability piece of this.
Absolutely.
And resale and reuse is a big aspect of what's the manner in which we're helping our clients. And as you know, the younger generations in particular, they're buying with a purpose. So they're making their buying decisions based on the sustainability practices of the particular company.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
So your role.
Yep.
Where do you spend your time? What's your role in the company?
So, I've been with the company pretty much since the beginning, so I've kind of worn many hats. I've been involved with operating marketplaces in the earlier days. Today, where I tend to spend my time is really evangelizing the solution and helping onboard kind of new clients into our platform.
So you're a preacher, Eric.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Yeah. That's it.
So a lot of travel. B-Stock, this is a global provider, right? So you travel quite a bit?
Yeah, quite a bit, actually. So, and it's going to shows like this. One of the great things about a show like this is you're really, kind of networking face-to-face with other companies in the space, whether it's peers or potential clients, and hearing about, the new trends that they're facing as well. But yeah, I'm on the road a bit. Yeah.
You're giving us great segues, so thank you for that.
Okay.
By the way.
Yeah.
So speaking of trends, we're going to go broader,
Okay.
right? So beyond B-Stock, beyond the reverse logistics space, when you think of the global end-to-end supply chain, the circular economy that is really taking root from a conceptual standpoint in industry, what's one or two things, trends, topics, developments, you name it, that are on your radar more than others right now?
So there's a couple things that we see that are sort of macro trends in retail.
Now, I struggled in macroeconomics,
Yeah.
so keep it layman's terms.
Just macro trends.
Gotcha.
So, the first and foremost is just the trends towards e-commerce. So more and more transactions are taking place online.
Right.
And within e-commerce, there is a much higher customer return rate. So typically, the customer return rate for e-commerce is right around 30%, whereas with brick and mortar transactions, it's in the neighborhood of 8 to 10%. So as more and more transactions are taking place online, what's happening is more and more returns are coming back.
Right.
And so when you think about the impact that has on all the logistics, but more importantly, what do you do with that inventory? Right.
Positive correlation.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah. And so, that's one of the things that we're seeing, which is why, our clients are, finding value in our service because they're not getting killed on price. It's actually driving prices higher for them. The other one is it's really Amazon. They're kind of setting the bar for...
It's okay to say Amazon. There's no way to talk retail and not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're really setting the bar for a level of customer service.
Yep.
And where that is kind of manifesting itself in our world is it's a very lax or customer-friendly returns policy, right? And so companies are having to offer, it's almost a cost of doing business now, they're having to offer a really lax customer return policy to capture the loyalty of the customer.
Yep.
And in doing so, again, that's driving returns, back and driving returns higher. So those are, I would say, some of the two of the things that we're seeing right now that are really, driving behaviors of companies in our space.
So let's dive into it later, but real quick, this is Scott Luton and Greg White at Supply Chain Now. We're at the Reverse Logistics Association and Conference. We're talking with Eric Moriarty with B-Stock. And you might hear a lot of things still getting set up as the exhibition hall is close to being completed. And
it's really encouraging from our point of view, don't you think, though, Eric? I mean, the particular developments that are occurring there by the
right
bar,
over there.
yes. They are.
Especially our proximity.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So let's talk about, kind of through these first couple of interviews here in day zero, I think it's called at RLA. The consumer, just because we're able to, as consumers, to buy 5 pairs of shoes, return 4.
Right.
We're really, as convenient as that is, it's creating a huge challenge for industry and for returns teams and reverse logistics. How are we going to move the needle in this regard?
Yeah. So I think it's, water finds a level, right? I think it's a pendulum that will, probably start to swing back a little bit, and ultimately there is an economic model where a certain level of service is something that you can offer and still make money. Our role in that is to provide an avenue so that when the company does get returns back, they're getting as much value out of those customer returns as possible when they liquidate it. And that allows them to offer that higher level of service. But at the end of the day, right, the math has to work in terms of an income statement.
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
That's
What I like is, just as we know that consumers, like we talked about at last conversation, consumers want more transparency and want to see more sustainability in the products and services of the companies that they're buying. Clearly, I think one other encouraging sign is this niche, this growing niche that B-Stock is in, that's enabling recycling and enabling us to reuse instead of destroy.
Yep.
It's a space there's a ton of activity and growth in, and that's a great sign.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think in our network last year, about 400 million pounds of inventory was sold, right? So Not to say that the companies were throwing it away before,
but
that's
a big chunk of that probably.
I don't know actually. So I'll just say that we know now that they're reselling it, and
it's a good thing.
And that's a good thing. There's again that the transparency that you talked about. They can kind of look everyone in the eye and say, "Yep, we're handling this inventory in a sustainable way." And there's it's all online, right? So you can kind of audit.
Fingertips.
That's right.
Visibility.
Yeah. I think it's changing the way companies bring inventory in as well.
Yeah.
They're getting more mathematical and less artistic, more scientific and less artistic, right? Because a lot of what must come to you is because of the inherent inefficiencies built into retail, old-time retailers,
sure,
where you plan for markdowns, right? You plan to have too much of certain things to make sure you have enough.
Yep.
And it's become a bit of a crutch where plan is usually in little letters, not big letters.
Right.
And companies are starting to plan in big letters now, and that plan is much, much more precise and produces less overstock, less excess, less waste in the supply chain coming back. At least I know that there are more companies conscious of it now. I don't know if you've seen that in industry yet, but
absolutely. I think everyone's constantly trying to make things more efficient.
Yeah.
And so I think from our from our perspective, with the secondary market and the transparency that we're creating for them, and the higher recovery. That math, that data, right, can be translated back into things like, accruals and the accounting system, right?
Yep.
Right? And so, the transparency of the pricing in the secondary market is actually helping them make primary market decisions, right?
Right.
Yeah. Because if
you're a category manager, right?
Yeah,
so you may have at one time contributed slightly. I know I have contributed slightly to this problem, and I always found it difficult to reconcile in my head. I'm buying stuff I know we're not going to sell.
Right.
Yeah. And now with the wealth of data that's available in the marketplace and technology advancing as quickly as it has, we can preempt that aspect of the problem in a much greater measure than we could before.
Yeah, and it makes it less risky, right? So if you know that you're not going to get killed in the liquidation price,
right,
then overbuying a little bit or whatever is not as much of a penalty as it would if you were just getting pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
Love
right.
It. Yeah. Okay, so shifting gears here, we've already established that we're big fans of Tony Sirota, but speak more to what is in this digital age we live in, right?
Yeah.
The age of texting, instant messages, Facebook. We communicate more digitally than in person these days.
Yep.
But yet, trade shows such as the Big Show, NRF Big Show, Modex, the RLA Conference and Expo, some of these shows have really tapped into the secret recipe. What's so important about coming out and sitting down and having these face-to-face conversations and benchmarking conversations? What's that value there?
Well, I mean, within the body of the question is the answer from my perspective. So, the face-to-face interactions that you're getting with people and talking to them about, what they're seeing in their world and kind of coming together and as a group collaborating on some of the bigger issues and sharing ideas and sort of maybe collectively kind of moving the ball forward on some of the challenges that we all face, right? And it's why I travel so much, because I really think that a face-to-face interaction is far more valuable than anything over the phone or online video chat.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing what you can do over a discussion by the water cooler.
That's right.
That takes 40 emails otherwise.
Right. Totally. Yeah.
All right. So let's make sure our listeners know how to get in touch with B-Stock. I'm sure as much as we've enjoyed hearing what you had to say on today's episode, how can they find B-Stock?
Yeah, so we're obviously go to bstock.com and there's information there about what we do, and if you want to reach out to us, there's avenues on that site to do so. You can come by our booth here, right? We're booth 115. And then on social media, right? Where there's LinkedIn posts that we're doing where we're talking about upcoming shows that we're going to be at as well.
Yeah, great.
Love it. And are you speaking at the conference this week?
No, we are speaking, but someone else is moderating the panel.
Because you've got to get on a plane and fly somewhere.
That's right. That's right. I actually do. I'm flying out tomorrow at noon. So.
I'm so glad we had a chance, as busy as your schedule, to sit down.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, we've been tracking B-Stock a little bit since they hit our RLA radar, and love the work that your company and similar companies are doing to tackle some of this challenge is only going to probably get tougher before we really start, making strides.
We haven't reached the peak yet, have we?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, we've been talking with Eric Moriarty, with B-Stock, Vice President with B-Stock, the pride of Brimford, Massachusetts.
Brimfield,
Massachusetts. I know I was close. Sorry about that.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, please. That gives me a chance to get the town right.
Yeah, that's right. Get the town right. That's right. Tom Brady. Worth $30 million?
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel guilty as an NFL.
You gave an answer,
Right,
Eric. I'm proud of you.
So we've had a few down moments here, and I've watched the Super Bowl. Literally watched this year's Super Bowl 4 times since the game ended, just to make sure we still won.
Yeah.
But now they're talking about off-season things, and this is a big item. Personally, I don't think you can give Tom Brady too much.
Yeah.
Whether the Patriot way allows you to do that, I'd say give him a quarter of the team. If you can't give him money, give him the team, because they are who they are, because he is who he is. It's just my opinion.
Well, we're pretty biased, but you guys got a great.
Well, we're hoping.
He's the future of the
I
league.
think he might be. Well, we might be setting the bar. The Hunt family might actually give Patrick Mahomes a piece of the team. But anyway, I was just curious where you came down on that, because a lot of people think it's too late to pay him the money that he should have already been making anyway, and he gave it up for the team.
Yes.
He gave up money so that he could have better players around him. It's time for Tom Brady to get paid.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for loyalty.
Yes,
right?
Indeed.
Yep.
Agreed.
So.
Okay, good stuff. We've enjoyed a conversation with Eric Moriarty, Vice President of B-Stock, the pride of Brimfield, Massachusetts.
Gave you a second shot at it.
Yes, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Mike.
So don't go anywhere just yet. We're going to wrap up on an expedited event schedule that we've got coming up. We always like to invite our listeners to come out and check us out in person, much like we're here today at the Reverse Logistics Association Conference and Expo.
Correct.
That is.
Well, we're in the Expo, so we better say that.
That's a good point. Good point. Brought to you by our friends at Capgemini. We should add that as well.
Yeah.
But
thanks, Cindy.
What's the next event on the calendar?
Yeah, so the next event is Modex, right, in March 9th through the 12th in Atlanta. That is at the Georgia World Congress Center, an amazingly huge facility.
It better be for 35,000.
35,000 of your closest friends, and small warehouse distribution, product materials handling facilities built in the show floor.
Yep. Wow.
So it is an amazing spectacle to watch. And, of course, during that time on day 2, March 10th, the
2020 Atlanta Supply Chain Awards. So if you have a presence, the 2020 Atlanta Supply Chain Awards.
You don't say.
So we're proud to be bringing that to the market once again in
Yes.
year 2. We've got about 60 companies that have been nominated. Nominations are still open. We're not sure when this is going to publish, but nominations close February 15th. The big requirement, we've got probably 12, 14 different awards ranging from technology impact to sustainability award to manufacturing excellence, world-class culture award. But regardless, the big requirement is you have to have your company has some kind of presence or operation in the metro Atlanta area, which is how many counties?
29 beautiful counties.
Yeah, very large. So you could be globally headquartered in Massachusetts or Canada or Kingsport, Jamaica, as long as you have some kind of
San
operation.
Francisco, though. Just kidding.
But look for that. For more information on Modex, by the way, it's free to attend, modexshow.com. For more information on the Atlanta Supply Chain Awards, you can go to atlantasupplychainawards.com. That complicated, right?
Yeah.
Where did we get that idea for that URL from?
I don't know. It was here when I got here, so.
Beyond that, we are proud to be partnering with the Automotive Industry Action Group for 2 upcoming events, right? The first one is the Corporate Responsibility Summit in Michigan, April 28th and 29th. And the second one, Greg, is?
Yeah, that's their Supply Chain Summit, June 9th, and that is around the Detroit Auto Show.
Oh, wow.
So
maybe we'll get 2 for 1 up there.
Talk about a spectacle.
Yeah.
So we've been We've been prodding Jim Legio to help us get tickets to the auto show.
Yes.
Maybe talk to some of our favorite people. They might be named Ford or Ferrari. Not sure.
We shall see. Stay tuned.
Yep.
And the AIAG events are sandwiching the Association for Manufacturing Atlanta 2020 Lean Summit, which comes to Atlanta May 4th through the 7th. We'll be there on the first day, conducting a variety of interviews with folks that love manufacturing and love continuous improvement. Okay, what do we miss?
I can't imagine that we missed a thing.
Love Beatstock.
Yep.
I love what they're doing.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept.
Well, it has got to be, and love manufacturers, we love 3PL, all the different players that are in supply chain, but y'all have got a noble mission that's kind of baked into your business model, and that's got to be a very rewarding and gratifying.
It really is. It's great to see, particularly from the buyer side, to be honest with you, lots of small to medium-sized businesses flourishing as a result.
You've made a career of that, really. I mean, the buyers at your family's antique shows were probably taking it back to their shop.
That's correct.
Right?
Yep.
Yep. Very cool.
So,
Bstock.com.
Talk about circular, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Bstock.com.
Bstock.com. To our listeners, thanks for joining us once again. You can find our old podcasts, older episodes, all the events we talked about, plenty of other resources at supplychainnowradio.com. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts from Google Podcasts to Spotify to
Apple Podcasts or even YouTube.
But be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. So on behalf of Greg White, Scott Luton, stay tuned as the Supply Chain Now team continues its live coverage of the Reverse Logistics Association Conference and Expo. See you soon.